Welcome to Cozy Noah Vibes, where we listen, relax, and get sleepy. As always, I'm your host, Noah. Thanks so much for tuning in. In tonight's sleepy story, I'll guide you through an evening aboard the International Space Station. Discover what it would be like to live out in space and follow an astronomical bedtime routine. All the details in this story are drawn from things real NASA astronauts have shared, and we've endeavored to give you an accurate account of life up there. That said, times do change, and so do space stations. So keep in mind that one astronaut's experience may not be exactly that of another. Let's take a moment to get nicely settled into bed. Make sure you're comfortable lying in whichever position feels best right now, and just enjoy the feeling of your head being supported by your pillow, your muscles resting and recovering from the day. Allow your eyes to become heavier, letting them close if they haven't already, as you drift into the comfort of bed and the sensation of sleepiness. Allow your breathing to slow, drawing the air in fully and easing it back out nice and steadily. Breathe in again, then gently back out as you continue in that soothing pattern. Allow your body to enjoy those natural, consistent processes of breathing, and imagine that with each breath, you become more and more weightless, as if you're gradually leaving Earth's atmosphere, escaping the force of gravity, one breath at a time, up and up, feeling lighter and lighter. All pressure or tension in the muscles eases away as you calmly enjoy a greater sense of freedom, a pleasant weightless sensation. And with that, let your mind drift away from where you are, high above your bed, above your home, your continent, zooming all the way out to planet Earth. Way up here aboard the International Space Station is where our story begins. Imagine yourself in a small room with a few colleagues getting ready for dinner. There are no plates on the little table before you. Instead, there's a selection of meal pouches stuck down with Velcro, and you're floating in Mydra. This is what life is like on the International Space Station. The astronauts end their day with a meal of dehydrated food, plus a few treats like fresh fruit or vegetables if a shuttle has arrived recently. That's because they don't have a good way to store fresh produce on the space station. When a shuttle or cargo ship arrives, it delivers some fruits and vegetables for the residents to enjoy for a while. After that, they're back to the shelf stable, cut the cage of variety. If you live on the space station, you would eat a set prepared, packaged meals designed to give you balanced nutrition and a reasonably varied menu. Many of your options would be dehydrated meals, like the ones campers sometimes take on backpacking trips. Have you ever tried the astronaut ice cream they sometimes sell at gift shops? Well, your meals wouldn't taste anything like that. Real astronauts on the space station add water to their dehydrated food, which helps the food rehydrate, meaning it returns to a similar consistency as regular food rather than staying hard and dry. In fact, there's a special setup in the kitchen where an astronaut can connect a pouch to adjust the right amount of warm water to rehydrate that particular dish. So, if you were on the space station, when dinner time came around, you'd pick a meal from those remaining. Then you'd connect the pouch and rehydrate it as needed. Once the food absorbed the water, you'd open it up and eat. You might add a bit of sauce for some extra flavor, or maybe liquid salt or liquid pepper. You could use regular table salt or bright ice powder. Mind you, as that would just float around in microgravity. You might also have some special extras, favorite foods that you brought along or that family sent you on a car or delivery. Little treats to have when you chose. If you brought out one of these treats at dinner time, you'd certainly share it with your colleagues. That's because dinner on the space station is a social affair. In fact, early space researchers realized that daily rituals like real shared meals were into morale. They were so important that the space agencies devised a space station dinner table so everyone could eat together. After all, in a weightless environment, there's no real need for a table to hold food off the floor like we have on Earth. And early space travelers just ate any old way, floating around, maybe even letting their food float in front of them. Speaking of floating food, there are some things that just aren't so great to have on the space station. Bread is a good example. Fluffy bread takes up too much room for the amount of nutrition it provides. It also produces too many crumbs. It's expensive and difficult to get anything off the Earth and into space. On missions to the space station, every ounce and every centimeter counts. All the food that's sent to space has to be long-lasting and has to deliver good nutritional value for its size. So rather than bread, astronauts on the space station eat tortillas, which are much denser. Food on the space station also can't be dry and crumbly, because crumbs would just float and drift around in the air, getting breathed in by the astronauts or getting into their eyes. For that reason, most space station meals involve a bit of liquid, like tomato sauce, curry sauce, or stew. Liquids have surface tension. For example, that's what makes water on a plastic spoon beat up and form bubbles. Without enough gravity to keep food on a spoon or fork, the surface tension of sauce at least helps hold the food together in a clump. This clump may either sticks to a spoon or floats where you can eat out of the air in front of you. In contrast, a spoonful of dry cereal would fly apart and spread out in all directions, like a cloud of dust. When you were done eating your dinner, you would push yourself away from the table and float out of the room. That's how you'd get around the corridors and rooms of the space station. Without the effects of gravity, you're essentially weightless, as are all the other objects on the station. You and they simply float unless tethered down. So, to go to places, you'd push and pull yourself along to keep your momentum carrying you in your preferred direction. Along the walls, there are bars placed at strategic intervals. You would use these to maneuver along or to stop yourself. You might also slip your feet under one of these bars to simulate standing up straight when you didn't feel like floating in place anymore. The International Space Station is about the size of a football field. It has 2 bathrooms, workout equipment, and a shared kitchen, plus sleeping quarters. It also has numerous laboratories where the astronauts carry out scientific research. The station truly is international. A partnership of space agencies from different countries operates it and provides the components to keep it running. The principal space agencies involved are those of the United States, Russia, Europe, Japan, and Canada. The agencies launched the first part of the space station in 1998, and they've had it on since then, poised about 250 miles up above the Earth. The station orbits so fast that it circles the planet every underpass. There have been astronauts living on the space station since late in the year 2000. They come from numerous countries and generally spend several months or even a year living in orbit before being replaced by other astronauts. Typically, there are about 7 people living and working on the station at any one time, but this varies during crew changeovers. In 2009, 13 astronauts visited the station at once, a record for the most people in space at one time. So, what would it be like living on the International Space Station? Once you've finished your dinner, where would you go and what would you do as you wound down towards bedtime? Perhaps when you left the kitchen area, you might go to the window to watch the sunset. You would pull yourself along to the cupola, a round dome of enormous windows that faces the earth. As you came from the kitchen, the opening to the cupola might seem to be below you, although direction doesn't mean much when you're weightless. To enter the cupola, you could just jump into it, pushing off so that you shot down into the round room. Then, you could flip yourself upside down so that the windows under would now seem to be facing up for you. The blue and white glow would fill your vision as you gazed out of the windows surrounding you. Drifting clouds and blue ocean would likely make up much of your view, but as you watched, you might pick out continents and countries. You might make out the shape of the coasts far below. Depending on where the space station was in its orbit, you might need to wait a bit for the sunset, but it's certain you wouldn't wait too long. At the speed the station goes around the Earth, there are 16 sunsets and 16 sunrises every day. You might see the sun go down over the Indian Ocean or the South Pacific, and this would be a sunset like you've never seen before. The setting star would cast its glow of gold and pink against the curve of the planet, creating a sweeping panorama far greater than you can ever see on Earth. And the colors, without atmosphere to filter the light, and without dust and particles to dull it, you would witness the full brilliance of the vision, a glory the earthbound never even knew they were missing. Then, when the sunset was over, you might pull yourself away from the stunning views of your home planet, ready to begin your bedtime routine. You could turn yourself upside down once more, then push off and fly back up out of the cupola, sailing through the air to your own little corner of the station. Now, when I say a corner, I'm talking about your own private sleep pod. But even though space is in limited supply on the station, it would be a lot more than just a corner. So that's because the astronauts' private sleeping quarters are large enough for the astronauts to store their personal effects as well as sleep. You would have your own small enclosed space to sleep in with walls all around you and doors that you could shut. The space would be pretty small, not much more than the size of a closet or a small walk-in wardrobe, but with walls all around you, it would feel like a refuge, a safe and private space in a bigger, more shared world. On your way to your sleeping pod, you would first stop by the area where you can clean up. This would be a shared space, at the kitchen area. Now, the space station doesn't have a shower. That's because in microgravity, water won't flow like it does on Earth, and it would be too difficult to contain the floating drops. Instead of a shower, you would have some special, no rinse soap, and a wet cloth for wiping down your body and your hair. When brushing your teeth, you would use a toothbrush with Velcro on it to keep it from floating away. When squeezing out the toothpaste, it would form a little floating string rather than landing on the brush like it does on Earth. But it would still cling to the bristles. After brushing, you might spit into a tissue rather than a sink, or you might just swallow the toothpaste. This is how the astronauts keep clean in a weightless environment. Finally, you would go to your sleeping pod, climb inside, and zip yourself into your sleeping bag. The bag would be secured to the wall of the pod to keep it from floating. In microgravity, you can sleep in any position. Your body wouldn't be pressing against the mattress, so there wouldn't be any pressure points. Instead, you would just float. The sleeping bag would have a headband that would help keep your head in place to simulate the feeling of a pillow. Inside your sleeping bag, you might write a book or listen to some music, just like you do before bed on Earth. The gentle hum of the space station's machinery would provide a soft white noise background, helping you to relax. In this weightless environment, you would feel so free and light, with no pressure or tension. As you close your eyes, enjoy this feeling of weightlessness, imagining yourself drifting in space, surrounded by the infinite cosmos. Feel the gentle embrace of the universe, letting go of all worries and stress, and sinking into a peaceful, restful sleep. And that's how sleep comes to you aboard the International Space Station.